Hey, welcome to the America First Warehouse weekly podcast. We're here just outside of New York City at the amazing America First Warehouse. This place is great. A special thanks to Joe the Box and his family and all the people who help keep this together. We've got Tom Weirman with us right now, former candidate for the New York State Assembly, very active with Hillsdale College, an integral part of the America First Warehouse, and Teresa Helfrich, who keeps it all together here. A lot of exciting events. Go to the AmericaFirstWarehouse.com for all the latest and greatest. We're getting ready for tonight with Trevor Loudon to view the movie, The Enemies Within. He's a stout anti-communist. We're going to talk about what's going on in France and England. Big victories for the Labour parties, big victories for the socialists in France, the Labour parties in England. New Zealand has gone far to the left. That's where Trevor's from. But we look forward to having him here with the live studio audience. Teresa, how are you today?
I am good. Very excited for tonight to watch
Good.
this movie and see Trevor
Wonderful.
and welcome him in. And we have the TAP people here today. We have Amanda and Carlito here
Yeah, the America Project.
visiting us for their
Right.
event. So we have a lot of things happening.
Right, they're coming here on July 27th.
27th, yep.
So that
Very
should be
exciting.
great, and a lot going on. I am David Zier with Real America's Voice News, heading to the RNC for 6 days on Sunday. Should be a lot of fireworks. Tom, how are you?
I'm doing great, Dave. And you know what? It's hot out, right? I mean, it's not just hot in here in New York. It's hot around the country, and the news cycle is crazy hot right now. So
It is, the media playing dumb. They've known about this the whole time. They've been burying it. Now the truth is out. And a lot of fireworks. I don't think that Biden's going to stay on the ballot.
he sits there and he's trying to say, I'm not going anywhere. I'm running, and he says all that type of stuff. But I'm going to agree with you. I think the pressure is going to mount so strong that there's going to be no way he can
9
stay in.
House Dems already have come out.
And I think it's going to be a lot more that come out, too, as the pressure. Listen, pretty much every interview he does now, it doesn't go smooth. Or even if he doesn't flub it up totally, he doesn't come across as really competent right now. He just doesn't come across as a strong leader.
As a leader of the free world.
No, every time he has a chance to redeem himself, he winds up the get off my lawn, old man, yelling, hostile, angry old guy, right?
I think he might be staying now. I think they're going to double down. And I think it's Jill. I think Obama's puppeteering him, and they don't want to lose that power.
Well, they don't, and it's the Hunter Biden and Jill Biden and the whole Biden family. By the way, if you saw that creepy video of Ashley Biden hugging her father at the July 4th stuff and then giving like this weird signal to the camera, but that's their only income stream, right? So they're trying to protect that. It looks like Hunter's spending a lot of time in the White House. But I feel like I just saw this great movie with Michael Keaton, and it's called Knox Goes Away, and it's about a hitman who has this degenerative neurological disorder, and it's accelerating in his final days. And I feel like that's what's going on with Biden. There's been a markedly rapid increase in his decline, don't you think?
Well, if you look at his debate performances from 2019 and you look at them now,
Yeah.
it's night and day.
night and day.
And listen, he wasn't great back then, but today it's drastically different. Now, the question is then, of course, and we've been talking about this, who would be the replacement? And I don't think the answer is very simple. Now, I think most people are going to say it'll be either Michelle Obama or Gavin Newsom, or Kamala. But all three of those people have a lot of flaws that can be pointed out. And really, the main flaw is not just them; it's the entire Democratic platform. If they were smart, and I don't think they're going to do this. If they were smart, the person they could get to run would be RFK, who would be a logical choice. But, well, listen, RFK doesn't agree with a lot of the deep state Democrat platform either. So it's going to be interesting.
So the only candidate that beats Donald Trump in head-to-head polling, and the new Reuters poll shows Michelle Obama beating Trump 50-39. No one else even comes close. She's saying she doesn't want it, but we know she's a radical leftist, Marxist, activist. I think she does. Who can they put up? Kamala can't beat Trump.
I mean, do you believe that poll? 59%?
50-39. She's the
50 to
only one in
I
head-to-head
can't-
polling. Listen, a lot of the polls have been pretty accurate. I followed them for many years every day, and a lot of them are
astonishing.
kind of right on. Now, Trump is ahead about 9 points of where he was in 2020 versus Biden right now
At
in
this
nationwide
point.
polling. And in New York, he was down 23 a year ago. Now he's only down 8, and he's ahead 9% with independents.
It's huge.
Okay, let's jump to VP picks.
So this is a question that is just been driving me crazy. If you asked me, 7 or 8 months ago, I was thinking Tulsi Gabbard was going to be the pick,
Yeah.
not necessarily for her positions in politics, but she did leave the Democrat Party. She's been pro-Trump. She can bring in a lot of independent voters who I would think, even if they don't love Trump, they can't stand Biden, and they need somebody who's going to they can coalesce behind.
Now, J.D. Vance and Vivek can bring in the young vote too, right?
Well, J.D. Vance, his position on abortion right now is really troublesome, especially as a Christian conservative.
Yeah.
And if you're reading Twitter, a lot of the evangelical leaders have a real problem with J.D. Vance, as now he's supporting the abortion pill. And let's be honest, that when it comes to the Republican Party and abortion, they used the Christian evangelicals for decades.
Well, they do, but the new Republican RNC platform for next week is kind of lax on abortion,
And
that
that's
they
my
don't want a
point, David.
national
That's my point.
referendum on it.
Yeah, well, there was a time where the Republican Party we are pro-life.
Yeah.
That's what we are. We believe abortion should be abolished. That is not their position anymore. Their position is now, we're happy with Roe v. Wade, allow the states to make their choice. And this is a problem, because when you read the Constitution says we have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Yeah.
And it's the right to life that would supersede state laws that allow abortion.
Agreed, but abortion is the big issue for the Democrats. How do the Republicans win without that issue on their side?
I think they need to stay true to who they are. I think they need to fight for life, and they need to. I think we have to stop. I think all the pandering that everybody does for anything. I think they need to stick to what we believe in and just go with it. I mean, I think that's how we got here. We're always like both sides. Well, not even more our side. I feel like we just kind of go with what we can't do that anymore. It's time to stand firm, stay true to our values as conservatives and patriots and what we want constitutionally, and stick with it. We have no choice. We have to start changing the trajectory of like blowing
David,
in the wind.
The Republican Party, a lot of their candidates don't truly believe in being pro-life, and therefore, if you don't truly believe in being pro-life, you can't make valid arguments to support the pro-life position. So they need to put real conservatives who actually can argue the points in a really real way to convince the voter out there that abortion is wrong.
Who is that on the right besides Ben Carson and a few others?
Well,
for
that's the
VP?
point, That's the point, David, because we have a GOP establishment that picks and chooses the candidates that the Republican constituency doesn't get the choice
That's right.
to pick. They knock them off the ballots in all different ways. So the Republican people, the constituents, have no idea, or they really haven't heard real great arguments for those of us like people like me, like you, and many others who can actually argue the merits of the pro-life movement. But the people they have in power right now, they can't.
Yeah, well, it's going to heat up. There's going to be somebody picked in the next couple of days. I don't see how Kamala leads the ticket to a victory in November.
I mean, if it's her as the pick, that's a gift. We might as well just celebrate now. There's not a. You could be the most staunch Democrat. You can't. There's literally nothing there. She's nothing. I don't know how anybody could even vote for that.
But is the left so dedicated and twisted, that it doesn't matter who the candidate is on the left?
I think some. I do think some. I even think there's going to be people who are socially or who say that they're big Democrats and they're liberal, and they do it socially, so it looks good. Like, right, it seems more humanitarian, all the stuff they spew. I think they're going to go into the voting booth and vote for Trump. They're never going to say it, but you can't be any kind of a logical person and vote to continue what's going on right now.
The fractured vote. Trump is leading in the polls by about 8 points because of the fractured Democratic ticket. RFK Jr. is splintering off a bunch. Cornel West, Jill Stein. And then you got the PLO and the Palestinian Authority vote and the pro-Hamas vote in America. I mean, things are looking good for the Republicans. We're +2 right now in the latest House polls. Could pick up a few seats in the House. And there's 7 Senate races that are up for grabs. Could pick up a few seats in the Senate. Do you think the House will stay red?
You know, I don't know, to be honest with you, because we thought we were going to perform a lot better in 2022. We thought, the polls looked like they were in our favor.
I was
in many
saying
cases.
25 seats.
Yeah, and we didn't do well.
No.
You know, so it's really hard to say. But I think, but this is a different election, right?
Yeah.
This is a presidential ticket election where the presidential vote is going to carry a lot of the down vote as well. So if Trump does win, let's say in a landslide fashion, then I think that's going to help greatly the Republicans.
The good news is Mike Gallagher's seat in Wisconsin will probably stay red. Brian Stile, who represents South Milwaukee in Wisconsin, will probably stay red. Ken Buck's seat, who's no friend to Trump, will probably stay red as well, and with a more conservative candidate, Lauren Boebert, and so there are some glimmers of hope.
Yeah, but I
out
think
there.
the last 2 years now showed a lot more. They've showed a lot more cards. So people, more and more people are starting to have their line drawn in the sand,
Yeah.
and I'm hoping that comes true in November when they're voting, that they realize, the last 2 years have showed a lot more. So
yeah, and
we
I
hope we
don't
vote.
know that. I don't know that if the Republicans can take the Senate and the House, or at least gain more seats, if this is Trump dragging them up, or is it really Biden dragging them down? I mean, because Biden is by far one of the most, just ineffective, uninspiring.
Well, Trump
candidates
hasn't
we've
even
seen.
had to do anything for the last 10 days.
Right.
Right? And then Biden has a rally in Pennsylvania, and I've covered over 100 Trump events on the road, and I've never had anybody come to the microphone at any of the events and tell everybody to move in closely so it looks like we have more people before Gavin Newsom came out in Pennsylvania. And
isn't Trump doing a rally in Pennsylvania? now?
Trump's in Butler on Saturday. He's in Miami today.
Yes,
Now he's in
Doral.
Butler, which is Western Pennsylvania, where he won on the Ohio border by about 8 to 10 points. Same demographic of the Ohio vote: the auto workers, the pipe fitters, the steel guys, the coal guys, the boiler makers. I think that he's there because maybe he's going to pick J.D. Vance, who can carry Ohio and maybe Western Pennsylvania for Trump.
See, to answer your question though before, I don't think it's going to be anybody that's being discussed.
Yeah.
I think he's going to pull somebody way out of left field, and he already
What
said.
about Lee Zeldin with New York in striking distance?
I
of
don't think
8
it's going to be
points?
Lee Zeldin. I don't think it's going to be anybody that we would think it's going to be. And he did say months back, might have been longer,
Yeah.
his pick's going to shock the world. I think it's going to shock the world. I don't think it's going to be anybody that we could suspect right now. I'm
Elon
really
Musk?
anxious. I'm anxious to see.
Well, if it was Elon Musk, that would be interesting. It's amazing.
that would
the guy
shock the
who-
world.
Mr. Climate Change, Elon Musk, who created the electric car, essentially is.
Yeah.
If you read his Twitter feed, it is completely common sense,
Yeah.
conservative in a lot of ways. I don't think it's going to be Elon Musk or anything like that.
Well, he's basically calling out the Democrats as criminals, for the cover-up.
Well, you know what, Elon? Because listen, who hurt Elon Musk the most, especially when it came to Twitter, right? Well, once he took over Twitter, he saw the rot that was
Right.
inside, and he's been a pro-free speech guy for a really long time.
Yeah.
And listen, we got to thank Elon Musk, because without him,
Yeah.
we don't have any major social media platform other than like Truth Social. Or,
It was like a beacon
Yeah.
of light of free speech again, to be able to speak freely without being censored.
Yeah, and Getter's not healthy, and Truth Social doesn't have nearly as many followers. But even X is still censoring people. I've lost many hundreds of followers just in the last month or two. I think they still have a liberal component, but we'll see.
Well, listen, when President Trump was president, there was still a liberal component as a part of his government, which he didn't know, which was actively working against him. So I can totally see how that could still happen at X or / Twitter for Elon Musk.
Yeah. Well, when are we doing the interview with the America
So
Project?
we are in a couple of seconds. We're going to go to commercial break, and then we are going to bring on our TAP friends, the America Project, Amanda and Carlito, and we'll be bringing them on shortly. Really quick before we go to commercial, is anybody as excited as I am about the Tucker Carlson and Julian Assange? Do we know when this is happening?
Yeah.
I'm so excited to hear what going to be, I think,
Well,
groundbreaking.
we'll see. We know, Julian purposely stayed off U.S. territory.
That's right.
So we didn't scoop him up.
I'm really curious
Right?
about this. Very
Well, you have a
excited.
guy like Tucker now who's not controlled by any type of
amazing.
large media force behind him. He's just doing what he wants. And he's got the most important guy backing him, Elon Musk.
Can't wait to see.
Guys, we have to go to break. When we come back, we got the America Project. Thank you so much for joining us. Go to the AmericaFirstWarehouse.com. Go to the events page. Check out all the exciting things going on.
America First Warehouse was really the most patriotic venue that you can ever imagine, and you've seen that. But it was through divine inspiration that it kind of happened. Sometimes life throws, you get some things and tragedy hits, and all of a sudden you got to rethink and kind of look at things a little differently. But we wanted to build something for people to be able to come to and feel so comfortable and so relaxed, because there is nothing out there like it. You go out into the world, the frustration, the tension, and anxiety is pretty brutal, for most. And how do you deal with it? How do you deal with it? Prayer for sure, but we give an opportunity for people to really feel good about themselves and about this great country.
Hi, I'm Kevin Sorbo. Now, many of you remember me as Hercules, facing incredible odds for the world that he cherished. But today, I'm stepping into a different role. Not as a mythical hero, but as a fellow American. I'm inviting you to embark on a mission crucial to our nation's future. At this pivotal moment, America stands at a crossroads. Our unity, values, and vision for tomorrow are being tested. It might seem like the weight of the world is too heavy for one person to lift, but history shows us that it's the courage of individuals that has always illuminated the path forward. The call for heroes is more urgent than ever. Not the mythical ones, but real-life individuals like you, ready to uphold what's right, champion truth, and unite in protecting our beloved nation. This is your moment. Your journey as a modern-day hero starts right now. Stand with AMAC and let's show the world the power of true heroism in action. Visit amac.us/hero to join AMAC. Be the hero our country needs.
Welcome back to the America First Warehouse. This is David Zier. How are you today? We have so many exciting events going on. Is my mic off? Oh, I'm sorry, mic was actually turned off. This is David Zier from the America First Warehouse. Go to the AmericaFirstWarehouse.com. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
And we have representatives from the America First Warehouse today. Tell everybody about yourselves.
Hi, I'm Amanda, and I work with the America Project, and we are launching Vote Your Vision this election season. I know everyone out there has their own thing going on, but we're excited to tell you guys about it and what we're doing to help the country out.
Wow, exciting. And what's your name, sir?
My name is Carl Johnson. I'm the current CEO at the America Project.
Yep.
And for those who don't know us, we were founded in April 2021. The founders were Patrick Byrne,
Yep.
General Flynn, Joe Flynn, myself, and a few others. Before that, we were with Defending the Republic with Sidney Powell, but we realized after the events of November 2020, we needed to divest our efforts in more than just lawfare. So we started the America Project because we found just how flexible and wonderful a 501c4 can be, and what types of social terrain we could touch.
Yeah, I spent some time with the America Project over at Mar-a-Lago with Patrick Byrne. I've had him on my show Breaking Point on Real America's Voice News. The work you guys do is awesome, and thank you so much. And you have an event coming up here at the America First Warehouse. And everybody, again, go to the AmericaFirstWarehouse.com/events to get all of the greatest events. Trevor Loudon coming here tonight talking about the communist threat to the world and everything that's going on with that. But on July 27th, you'll be here. Tell us about the event, Amanda.
So this event's really exciting. We've actually done it a few other states. We were just in Arizona and Tombstone, and we're heading down to Georgia. And we're also going to be here on the 26th and the 27th. The 26th, we plan to meet with some local legislators and sheriffs who want to do the right thing for America. This is not a left or right situation. This is called Vote Your Vision, because we all have a vision of what we want for the world that we live in today. And that doesn't mean that you're Republican or Democrat. It just means that you believe in the Constitution and our God-given rights.
I understand, and it makes a lot of sense. And you guys have done work across a broad spectrum of issues, from illegal immigration to voting integrity. Tell us about your latest agenda.
Sure will. And since it is the election season, we were born from election fraud. We started with one purpose, and that was to find exactly out what happened with the fraud, and to help usher a movement of election integrity, which really started a process of the American citizens taking back the election process up until a point where it could be given back to the government.
Yeah.
So,
So I'll be at the RNC next week for 5 or 6 days. How do you hold the feet to the fire? I've pressed Lara Trump at pressers during the primaries in South Carolina on what are they going to do to get the inner city vote. You know, they're talking about election integrity by having this massive volunteer force on the ground. How can the America Project help ensure that, especially Wisconsin allowing ballot boxes again, drop boxes again after they reversed the previous Supreme Court decision because they're Democrats now. What can you do?
well, we've been fighting there in Wisconsin. We have we're probably about $1 million deep in Wisconsin with financing and funding lawfare up there, including what you're referencing to, as well as Michigan. We have put tens of millions of dollars into Michigan funding and financing lawsuits and the investigations needed for them, just to get the legal pressure or the legal effects to try. We learned that election fraud happens and you have to present it on different fronts. In lawfare, that's a front all its own. Legislative, just like Borders and Elections Matter, our town hall series, we bring legislators here and we talk about what's going on here in New York, for example. We bring in local organizations that have helped with election integrity efforts, and we bring in legislators and experts, and we just have a talk about what's the current pulse in New York with respect to what we know fraud is now. I didn't know what fraud was 3.5 years ago. I don't think you did either. When we went to the ballot boxes, we let go of that vote, and we trusted that on the other end of that, that was a sacred mechanism, but it's not. So we really like being
So
part
it's
of fixing it.
compounded now, right? Because you're still going to have ballot harvesting. The Democrats have the ground game. They got all these people out there. But now you add into illegal immigration, right? There probably wasn't mass illegals voting in the past elections, but it does happen. And now, when people come across the border now, they're basically having... In Oregon, they're suspending, I think, or changing the state constitution where you don't need residency to register. You don't have to prove you're a citizen, in order to register to vote. So how do we tackle that?
I would definitely say that we need to start by voting for the right people. The people that have power right now is why we are where we're at. So I think that, I'll let Carl take this one.
Yeah, and right behind us here, there's Tom Homan. Yeah. Tom Homan was the CEO of the America Project before I was given the honor to hold the wheel. The America Project is big when it comes to border security. Yeah. We've done so much, and we continue. That's why Borders and Elections Matter is the theme of our town hall we're bringing here. We see the upstream effects of fentanyl here in New York, and we're going to show on July 26th and 27th with the experts what those effects are with respect to illegal aliens and the fentanyl fight that we all know here too well in the state of New York. I worked here. I became an adopted son of New York, I'd like to think, and it saddens me when I see what the conditions of fentanyl or downstream effects of what illegal immigration is doing to us here in New York as well as Florida, where we live.
Yeah, I emceed in the America Project event over at the Metropolitan Republican Club with Tom a couple of years back, and the work has been extraordinary and what you guys have accomplished and Patrick Byrne fighting, but what specific policies in what states are you going to do to be able to improve, poll watching, to get on, are you going to try to interfere with the chain of custody and make sure that these boxes, are observed? What are you going to do specifically on the ground?
No, nothing like that. We're not going to interfere with the custody process, although that's what a lot of people on the left
would
observe, yes. And what we do best is we educate people to have a voting awareness or an awareness when they get to the polls, an awareness of what election season is. And yes, we have such a new wave of grassroots volunteers that we have literally, and it's happened here in New York and everywhere else, we have staffed where we can staff from precincts down to poll watchers. That's almost a continuous self-licking ice cream cone. Now what you're talking about is right. Now we got to get graduate level about what are we really looking for indicators of fraud where we live, and it varies from state to state.
Rudy Giuliani told me that 700,000 Republican ballots went through the machines in Pennsylvania without one Republican witness. You know, and now that they went through the machines, there's no way to go back and audit that. And that mail truck that disappeared, that nobody can trace back, he thinks those 188,000 ballots or however many were on there were part of that went through the machines in Philly. You know, they're going to be up to their nonsense in Michigan, in Detroit. They're going to be up to it in DeKalb and Fulton County. And then in parts of Pennsylvania, probably Philly at least, right?
Well, I can tell you on voteyourvision.org, we have an amazing website right now that's set up with all of our upcoming events, but also available on that website are years of work that our team has put into election integrity manuals, meaning that you could go and look up your states. If you're a swing state right now, we have about, 13 on there right now, maybe 14, that tells you about the rules and laws in your state, how you can get involved and stay compliant so that things are not pushed on you, you know, and you sound like some crazy person when you show up at the polls. You know exactly what the laws are. So that's what we're trying to do is educate the masses.
And you do, but you know, in Arizona, you don't have to prove your citizenship when registering for a federal ballot, only for the state.
But you do for state
races, right?
Yeah.
It's things like that. We would have never have seen that before if we didn't, as citizens, take back the election process, get smart about when it's voting season, when does that start and what can I do? I take care of my family first and I register my home. Secondly, I start getting out from there and figuring out what my community wants. We've proven it again that at the grassroots, it's where everything happens, the influence, the effects. But I'm excited. It's the election season and I'm really confident. Personally, if I could tell you, I'm confident, and I've got my CEO of America Project hat on right now. I will tell you, this is the most pro-freedom movement I've seen since I've been around this earth, and I'm just honored to be a part of it and bring another great show here to
That's great. I've covered about 130 Trump events over the last 5.5 years for Real America's Voice News around the country in about 40 states. And the message is always the same. We're a drug trafficking corridor. We're a human trafficking corridor. Right. I was up in Manchester, New Hampshire for the primaries and for many other events. In the city of Manchester, New Hampshire, highest rate of overdoses per capita in the United States. Manchester, New Hampshire, population about 107,000. 8% of the population overdosed in 2023, I believe. You know, so is it getting worse? Is it getting better? Is there anything happening in that way?
It's definitely worse, and I can tell you that when Tom Homan gets in, he will fix that shit. He's done it before, and he'll do it again. Yeah. And I know that that's a long time from now, but what we're doing is we're trying to go to the border. We're actually partnered with Armed Forces Brewing Company, and we're feeding the front lines. So we're feeding the Border Patrol. We're feeding, I mean, people don't understand that local law enforcement and fire departments are stepping up as well because of the lack of support at the border for the Border Patrol.
So you have fentanyl awareness, you've got election integrity, you've got illegal immigration. What is that, the triad of your issues? What else you got going on?
That is the triad of our issues right now. It doesn't get any bigger than that if you look at national sentiment. It is. Our elections, they have to be safeguarded, but it's border security and national security and the economy. And downstream here you see way more economic effects from illegal immigration.
Well,
so
what kind of influence or action can you take legislatively, or are you putting pressure on elected politicians? The SAVE Act to be have to be a citizen to register to vote, anything like that?
Yes. Thanks for bringing that up. A big part of what we do with our town hall series is we have legislative engagements with them. For example, in Arizona, we had 18 state legislators show up there from the Senate and the House, all the way down to Tombstone, Arizona, to occupy a saloon that's been there since Wyatt Earp days and talk with our border experts and our election experts about what's going on in Arizona. If you build it, they will come. If you get one or two legislators, for example, here in New York, what you'll see is a couple will come because they're touching on elections integrity and they're touching on border and fentanyl. But to provide the venue, that's where the legislative will happens. And what you're asking is what we can do as an organization. We have to get it to a point where we hand it off to the able-bodied legislators that can go to their state houses and turn that into legislative action, which is bills. So what we also do on the side at the America Project is we educate each state's how to do draft bills based on their state statutes, based on our experiences in Florida, for example, what's been successful to get in front of DeSantis. We take that blueprint and we go to other states with respect to election integrity and medical freedoms,
Yes.
everything. It is an
Medical freedom,
Yep.
another big issue. We have about less than a minute left. Tell our viewers where they can follow you, where they can get involved.
We are on Twitter, of course, at The Real America Proj. We also have a Rumble channel. We have voteyourvision.org for updates, videos, photos of our last events, some lists of legislators. And you can also go on there if you're not sure about who to vote for. You can go and look up and see how your legislators have voted for you. And if they're for America First or not. And one more thing I wanted to mention
Sure.
is that we are helping out with the January 6th event that's coming up in Bedminster. That's going to be on August 10th. We have some really great big names. That
Yeah,
are
we
coming
put
to
on the
help.
best one here at J6 this year. We put it on here with Joe. Now we're going to Bedminster
We
for a
need
fundraiser,
President Trump
J6,
here.
a gala here.
We need him to visit
Yeah,
this location.
well, we do. It's on his radar. Well, thank you for all of your hard work. And what's the website again?
www.americaproject.com. I love all my America Project teammates. I see you out there. Voteyourvision.org. And Alan Beal from Armed Forces Brewing Company. Love you, brother. We're
All
coming
right.
to see you.
Carl and Amanda, thank you so much. And I'll see you guys in a couple of weeks.
Thank you so much.
All right, we'll be right back. We're at the America First Warehouse just outside of New York City.
Hi, I'm Kevin Sorbo. Now, many of you remember me as Hercules, facing incredible odds for the world that he cherished. Well, today, I'm stepping into a different role. Not as a mythical hero, but as a fellow American. I'm inviting you to embark on a mission crucial to our nation's future. At this pivotal moment, America stands at a crossroads. Our unity, values, and vision for tomorrow are being tested. It might seem like the weight of the world is too heavy for one person to lift, but history shows us that it's the courage of individuals that has always illuminated the path forward. The call for heroes is more urgent than ever. Not the mythical ones, but real-life individuals like you, ready to uphold what's right, champion truth, and unite in protecting our beloved nation. This is your moment. Your journey as a modern-day hero starts right now. Stand with AMAC and let's show the world the power of true heroism in action. Visit amac.us/hero to join AMAC. Be the hero our country needs.
America First Warehouse was really the most patriotic venue that you can ever imagine, and you've seen that. But it was through divine inspiration that it kind of happened. Sometimes life throws, you get some things and tragedy hits, and all of a sudden you got to rethink and kind of look at things a little differently. But we wanted to build something for people to be able to come to and feel so comfortable and so relaxed, because there is nothing out there like it. You go out into the world, the frustration, the tension, and anxiety is pretty brutal, for most. And how do you deal with it? How do you deal with it? Prayer for sure, but we give an opportunity for people to really feel good about themselves and about this great country.
To the America First Warehouse. Go to theamericafirstwarehouse.com. I'm David Zier, Tom Weirman, Teresa Helfrich. I hope everybody's enjoying today's broadcast. So many exciting events coming up, and one of them, not only do we have the RNC next week, but tonight we have Trevor Loudon coming here. We're going to show The Enemies Within, and we have a live studio audience. I'll be interviewing Trevor Loudon for Real America's Voice News, and we'll be airing that on my show Breaking Point this Saturday at 8 a.m. Eastern Time. And also this Saturday, tell us about what we got going on.
Yeah, so this Saturday, and we're hoping maybe in a couple of minutes we can get Pastor Green on, but he is the, the founder of the Mordecai Mission.
Yes.
And it's a Christian, he has the Mordecai Mission, which he's a pastor, and it's a Christian mission that he has. But he's partnered up with us here at the America First Warehouse. It is a Christian political initiative that we're working on with them. We do have our first summit this Saturday, we've been all on Zoom calls and working tirelessly to get everything together. We are going to be handling the ERA amendment topic and bail reform. Tom, you've been on the meetings with us. If there's anything you want to add to that, we are excited.
Yeah, well, I think the whole purpose of why Pastor Green started this initiative is because, like in the 80s, maybe early 90s, you had the Christian Coalition that had a massive impact on educating the Christian populace as to what's going on in government. there's been plenty of other groups that have tried, but it's really not been effective since then. And what Pastor Green is trying to do is he's trying to bring back his own version of the Christian Coalition through what he calls the Mordecai mission, and is trying to educate pastors in which they're going to then hopefully educate their congregants. And look, and a lot of pastors may be a little bit fearful of bringing the politics into the church, but the reality is, politics will affect the body of Christ in one way or another, whether it be through censorship or whatever it might be, shutting down the churches like that with what happened during COVID. And we lost a lot of our rights as Christians, and even if you're not Christian, just a religious person of whatever persuasion.
Absolutely.
And we've seen that when an overarching government wants to be tyrannical, they will be tyrannical, and they will take away from religious movements. And we can't allow that to happen, because government policies affect the body of Christ and other religious institutions.
Yeah, Tom, tell us about the rest of the agenda for Saturday, and what are some of the other guest speakers that will be here?
So on Saturday, we do have a panel of guests. We have, there's a lot of names. There's people I don't quite know yet, but we do have Nick Giordano will be on. We have Rita Palma. We have Chaplain Aisha. Her last name's not coming to me right now. There are a lot of great speakers who are going to be weighing in on these topics. What I love about it is us being united from all different backgrounds and even different religions, we'll say. They wanted to target the Black communities first and the Hispanic communities, but really we're trying to touch everybody. And I think all of us joining together from every walk of life, every background, ethnicity, and even religion, coming as a united front really breaks the narrative. It shows that there's people on our, from everywhere on this side trying to educate and encourage people to step up, especially the churches and the pastors. I love the book you mentioned yesterday. I think everyone should know about that, right? It's about pastors. Really
it's about the civic role of one of the guys from Wall Builders. He's actually the one who wrote the book. I forgot his name, but it's basically teaching about how pastors and Christians need to be involved in the civic arena, because that's the way what our founders wanted. They wanted people of faith to be writing laws, to be active in government, because they understood the value of providence in our nation's history and the value of it going forward. It's not just, the idea of God was not just this thing that, the writers of the Mayflower Compact wrote. No, they understood that God is important in this country and its success in the future.
Yeah, that event will be great, and there's going to be subsequent events at July 13th. Go to the AmericaFirstWarehouse.com/events. It's only $20 a person this Saturday.
It is, and I just want to also say about tonight, you can still get tickets tonight for Trevor Loudon. The movie looks great but terrifying. You can come even if it's last minute. Please come down. It's a great way to stay cool and watch a movie, and there'll be a meet and greet for Trevor tonight. Saturday is 5 to 8 p.m. We will be having one every month from now until November, and we will be hitting different topics. We plan to do some outreach, which I love. I do want to say something. I'm curious to see how you guys feel about this, but this is what I really try to tell people. I think people have it wrong. This country, in our First Amendment right, we have the right to practice the religion that you want, which is a beautiful thing. But it doesn't negate the fact that this country was founded on Judeo-Christian values, and I find it almost mind-blowing to me that people think that just because you have the right to practice your religion, that the fact that this was a Christian nation just goes out the window. And I think that's something we need to educate people on specifically. Yes, you can come here and you can practice what you want, but you can't ignore what we're founded upon.
And it doesn't mean that your elected officials can't allow their religious persuasion to affect the way they vote and the laws that they write and the bills they put forward. The separation of church and state was simply to say government cannot tell the church what to do or have influence on the church, because that's what it did in England and in other parts of Europe, but we didn't want that here. That's why they came over
with
here.
The letters to the Connecticut congregation, so it wasn't what the left is saying it is. It doesn't mean that the government, that you can't have religion represented in your government.
That's right. And that's what people
100%.
got it wrong, And I don't even like that separation between church and state, or don't talk about politics and religion, when really both are the basis of your life, right? Your moral compass is your faith, and the blueprint of law and order is the politics and how your daily life's going to be with prices and taxes. So like I think that was a terrible thing
Well, it
to
goes back
divide people.
to the to Western civilization and the teachings and the philosophers and John Locke and private property rights and Adam Hand, the invisible hand of government, should guide things but should not be directly involved in the economics. All that was a predecessor to the founding of the United States, and all that was incorporated into the Constitution and to the founding documents. And it's important to remember something
our
that
law.
our public school system doesn't want our kids to know.
Right, and in a law, I believe it was Oklahoma that just actually, or was it Oklahoma, the state that actually put the 10 Commandments is going to be
Louisiana.
It's going to be posted in every classroom. And the reason why that's important, and it's not necessarily meant to convert students to Christianity or Judaism or whatever it might be, but it's the foundation of our law, right? When we look at what the 10 Commandments are, thou shalt not commit murder, thou shalt not steal, thou shouldn't lie, shouldn't covet, all these different things. It creates a strong baseline of society. Even if you don't believe in the God of the 10 Commandments, these are the foundational building blocks of what creates a functional society. And other countries that don't have this foundational 10 Commandments that basically drives their law, they have chaos.
Right.
And we need this. We need this in our country.
I'm in favor of it. My brother's not. If he's watching, we had a big fight about this, but I'm in favor of it.
Well, it used to mean more, our legal system is unparalleled in the history of Earth, but it's kind of been made a mockery of with groups like Colors of Change, which are Soros-funded, donors around the country, giving to all the DAs, a revolving door justice system, a disregard for the law at the border, kids aren't learning civics in school, right? They're not learning basic, structure of our
you know what?
government.
Pastor Green says he's in the waiting room. Do we have Pastor Green? He says he's in the waiting room.
Well, you know what, just to get, while we're waiting for Pastor Green to come back on, what you're saying is that, that they're not being taught civics. Well, I, as a former teacher, I will tell you, they do teach civics, but it's who is teaching it and how they're teaching it, which is what drives the mentality of those who are learning. All right, so if you have some radical progressive, which, in New York State, New York City, you look at a lot of how they're teaching civics, it's through the complete lens of a radical
if
leftist.
you're not going to Hillsdale or if you're not going to Liberty University and a few others, you're really not getting that perspective.
Right, and listen, when you're a student sitting in a class and you have the person at the front of the class with their label as professor or doctor or whatever, and that's the person who's teaching you, they automatically come with what they would think, as a student would think, is an expert in the field. So they're completely influenced by what that so-called expert is teaching them. And when you have that, you all of a sudden you get the result of what we see coming out of the colleges now.
That's right.
Which is a complete woke mindset, which is completely damaging the country.
Yeah.
And it's anti-God, for sure.
Absolutely.
It's completely anti-God.
Yeah, look what's going on our college campuses across the country here. And I just wanted to get into a couple of issues here. If we can get Pastor Green up, we will bring him on. But there's so much going on here. I hear them trying to get.
Yeah, sorry, everyone. Pastor Green is supposed to be on, and I feel bad. He actually rearranged his schedule for us today, so we're trying to get him on still.
Yeah. So now we've got this incredible expense at the border, Tom. And in New York City, they're talking about reissuing or restarting the card program for benefits for illegals in New York City. Now they're at about 1,000 a week. It was 4,000 a week for a while there coming to New York, but it's still 1,000 a week coming to New York. And we had Vicky Palladino here at the AmericaFirstWarehouse.com. She says the real legal alien number in New York City is about 400,000, not 200,000.
I could use $100,000 a week right now for sure. It's trying to feed 4 kids.
Yeah, well, in one instance, though, if they're going to bring them in, they almost have to do this. Because if they don't, what are they going to do? They're going to resort to crime. And this is the predicament we find ourselves in. We say, come on in, do whatever you want here, but don't commit crime. Well, they say, okay, I'm not going to commit crime. Well, you're going to have to give me money. You know, it's such a predicament that they've
Okay.
created this scenario.
Yeah, absolutely, Tom. We have Pastor Green. Now we holding him through the break, Martin. Okay, Pastor Green is with us here from the Mordecai Mission. Do we have him on video? Hey, Pastor.
There he is.
There he is. How are you, Pastor?
Everyone.
You excited about this weekend?
Oh, very excited. Very excited.
Good, excellent.
We are too.
And that event this weekend starts at 5 p.m. Eastern
5
Time
p.m. I
here.
believe doors open at 4.
Yep.
You can still go on to our website and purchase tickets. It's really like a donation. Please tell your friends and family. We would really love to have you here.
Yeah, Pastor Green, tell us what you have on the agenda today.
Well, as we said, I'm so looking forward to this weekend because it's really now's the time that God has ordained us as Christians to come together and work collectively to bring about his purpose in our land. And I'm so excited what God is doing. When you only think that all of us, we've been working together less than a year, and look what God is already doing. The impact that we're going to have beginning Saturday, it's going to be impactful around the country, possibly around the world. But as Christians, I'm just so glad that God is going to use us to bring about change.
Hey,
Well,
Pastor Green, if I
go
could
on,
ask you
Tom.
a quick question. Hey, Pastor Green, I don't know if you could see, I'm wearing a shirt here that says "One Nation Under God," and I was wondering, how can you tell me, how does this relate to what you're doing with the Mordecai Mission?
Well, we're fulfilling that mandate. We're fulfilling that statement that's on your shirt, one nation under God. You know, a nation is not just a geographical location, but a nation is also a people. You know, as the Bible tells us in Peter, that we are a holy nation, a peculiar people. So as we allow God to use us to reflect his righteousness and his righteous standards, we're going to be one nation, one people working together under God's direction to change things in this country and to bring about a revival, and a revival, that spiritual awakening that needs to happen. Also, I'm excited because, you know, when talking with people really don't know or have a true understanding what it is to be a Christian. So one nation under God is that we're going to distinguish ourselves as the Lord lead us, where people are going to see what true Christianity is and what the Bible says. But we're not just going to talk it, we're going to demonstrate it.
We love that. Pastor Green, I know we talk a lot, and I can't wait for this to happen on Saturday. What was your initial, how did Mordecai Mission initially start? I never even asked you guys that myself. What inspired you for the initial Mordecai Mission before we partnered up?
Well, what inspired me was you seeing what was happening in the country. When you see the rise of the LGBT, the abortionists, and how satanic the Democratic Party is, and what was the main target of all three of those entities? The church.
Right.
They were telling churches, you have to bow to our demands. You know, when you think about different acts of legislation that they were proposing, you know, we're saying churches have to have bathrooms for transgenders, and that we have to change what we say. Our sermons have to be approved and inspected by, you know, political officials, calling what we say hate speech. Well, just like with Mordecai, he wouldn't bow down to Haman. We can't bow down to that spirit of Haman that exists right now.
Amen.
And that exists in those three entities: the Democratic Party, the abortionists, the homosexual community, and so many others. But what is always the object of their fire? It's us as Christians. They come against Christians. Even when the COVID, what do they say has to be shut down? Churches. They said we can't speak, we can't congregate. And you know, it's an ironic thing that pastors were being arrested to two come to mind: Tony Spell in Louisiana and Pastor Arthur Pawlowski in Canada, and they're saying we're gonna put you in jail, and they did because you keep your churches open.
Yeah, I interviewed Father Pulaski. It's incredible what they did to him. Canada's a lost cause. Pastor, I wanted to ask you, we're going to be live streaming this event on Saturday. Who else will be watching this event across the country?
This event, I believe, many will be watching. And when they watch, the message has to be made clear that now is the time for Christians to stand up. Now is the time for Christians to come together. And I really believe that this is going to motivate Christians around the country to stand together. And not only is this going to motivate Christians, I believe even non-Christians will rally around our gospel message. And that's what the Bible says will happen, because Jesus said, if I be lifted up, I'll draw all men unto me. So I don't even believe we have yet to see the impact, and that impact is going to be tremendous that we're going to see.
Right. You guys have any further questions for the pastor?
No, except that we are very excited for Saturday. I will speak for both the Mordecai Mission and the America First Warehouse that you can go to the www.theamericafirstwarehouse.com. There is a Mordecai Mission tab at the top. Please take a look at it. You could be a sponsor, you can be an affiliate, you could be an alliance. We really want to encourage people to join us and then to go further and try to go to their own pastors and their own worship and faith leaders, try to encourage them to jump on board with us, be strong, fight against the government while still honoring God. And we just want to keep, building this mission.
Hey, Pastor Green, I did have one more question for you. So I know one of the main goals of the Mordecai Mission is to educate the public, including pastors and Christians, about what's going on and how it affects them. This Saturday, what is the summit's focus on? What are we going to be learning about at the summit on the 13th?
Well, there's two things. We're going to deal with the ERA amendment. And the ERA amendment is they're actually trying to change the state constitution of New York to include age discrimination. And what does that mean? Basically, what they're trying to do through this ERA amendment is to eliminate parental rights, parental consent. So if a child at 10, 12 years old decides they want to have a sex change operation, well, if the ERA amendment passes, then they'll be allowed to do it without the consent of their parents. So this is their way of trying to pull the wool over the eyes of the people. The other thing is, and I believe y'all were alluding to it before I came on, is this bail reform issue where people are actually allowed to commit crimes and they'll be on the street the very same day. So we had to alert the people to this. And really, the people already understand it, because you look at all these Democratic-controlled cities, such as Chicago, Los Angeles, New York. Crime is rampant. So much so that people are running out of these cities.
100 people were shot on 4th of July weekend in Chicago. 20 were killed. Brandon Johnson, Mayor Johnson, who's going to undergo a recall effort, is blaming it on Richard Nixon, 1972.
I'm sorry.
It's
Richard
absurd.
Nixon, sure.
It's really absurd because, see, these are these woke policies that the Democrats are pushing. And they're pushing it to the detriment of our society, because our society has become lawless. You see all these flash mobs running in stores, taking merchandise. No one gets arrested. You see, as you said in Chicago, people are being killed on a daily basis. Why? Because of the lawlessness. The criminals understand that no matter what they do, there's no accountability. And let's not forget how these illegals beat up police officers, broad daylight in the street, and they were out the next day. And we have these George Soros paid DAs, such as Alvin Bragg, who will bring false prosecutions against Donald Trump, but they won't bring legal prosecution against illegals who commit crimes in broad daylight.
Yeah, well, that's the story here. New York City, 36,000 people have been assaulted in the streets since the beginning of the year. 900 women have been raped. Robberies are up once again. All the major categories of crime are up except for shootings and murder. You know, that's what's going on in all our major cities. Pastor, we're about out of time here. Tell our viewers where they can follow the Mordecai mission. Where can they find you online? And tell us about all of that.
Well, Teresa, if Teresa can get that information, we have that new website. But that's where they could find the information on how to get involved and how to contact all of us, because we're all in this together, the America First Warehouse and the Mordecai Mission. And I greatly appreciate the work that has been done thus far. And we're going to see the fruits of that labor very soon.
And Pastor, what church are you with? Just so people know when they're tuning in. If they love you as much as we do, they might want to come see you at your church.
Absolutely. I'm the pastor of Jesus Christ Reigns Christian Fellowship, located in the Poconos in Pennsylvania. So if anybody wants to visit, we'll make that information
I'm going to
available.
do that one day. We should do that.
All right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and you're talking about doing events here August 10th, and then again in September, getting out the vote, right?
Getting out the vote, because it's so important that these panel discussions, they educate people as to how to vote. And we're going to deal with all these topics. We're going to deal with the next pandemic, which they're already starting to have and plan for. Now you're hearing bird flu. You see, they always do this. This is what the Democrats do, along with the World Economic Forum, is that they create these crises. So we're going to deal with that. How we can put together a plan of non-compliance. You know, we're going to deal with why we need to vote for Donald Trump, because a lot of this stuff is based on our vote. We can save ourselves a lot of misery and a lot of heartache if we vote the right way. And that's what we have to do, is educate the people as to why we have to get Donald Trump reelected, because a lot of these things that we're talking about will end overnight once he's elected. And that's the truth.
Right. Tom, you have any closing comments?
Pastor Green, so you're pastoring over in Pennsylvania, yet you're doing all this work in New York. Why do you have a heart for New York?
Well, I've always lived in New York. My children are in New York. My grandchildren are in New York. So I'm a New Yorker. Even though right now, presently living in Pennsylvania, I'm a New Yorker.
And you're NYPD for 2 decades, corrections, right?
Yes.
Wow, I didn't even know that.
Yep.
My law enforcement career with corrections and other agencies all have been in New York. And I have a love for New York because New York is still my home. New York is my birthplace. And but more than that, I have a burden for God's people, and I have a burden for this country.
Right.
And to see where this country is headed, it bothers me. But the thing I rejoice most about, I know how this all is going to end, and God is going to change it.
Amen.
But the way he's going to change it is through the collective actions of his people working together.
All right. Well, I want to thank you so much for joining us today. We will see you on Saturday here, and appreciate that.
I just love him. I just love Pastor Green. Thank you.
Thanks, Pastor
I
Green.
love
Thank you, Pastor.
working with all of you.
Awesome. So we have about a minute left. Teresa, tell us about upcoming events.
All
at
right,
the
so we'll
America
go
First
real
Warehouse.
quick. If you tuned in late, obviously, as was mentioned earlier, tonight we have Trevor Loud, and you can still get tickets. Please go to our website, or you can even come to the door. Saturday, we do have the Mordecai Mission event, the summit. We are very excited. Coming down the pike, we have the America Project in August. We have a Border 911 event in August. We're going to have Moms for Liberty, AMAC, a lot of big things coming down the pike, especially as we get closer to the elections. Rally season is alive and well. We just put out a schedule, so all the MAGA people out there, please find us on social media and join us. We want to stick together and keep the morale up and keep people motivated and just, I don't know, just kind of keep us occupied so we can get through to November. and we're going to kind of keep it light and fun, and just encourage people to vote and stay MAGA.
Tom, you want to close this out?
Yeah, I just want to say, it's political season, and it's hot and it's heavy right now, and everybody's interested. But it's not just a time to sit back and just pay attention now. We as citizens of this great country need to take charge. We need to be involved. We can't just watch TV and yell at the clouds in the sky and say, I hate this. But we have to do something about it. So my last few words here is get involved, stay involved, not just during the political season where we're going to be voting in November, but thereafter. Lobby your congressman, lobby your local politicians, and be the change that's going to push them to do the right thing.
I love that.
All right, guys. We'll see you next week.